I'd like to call the September 30, 2024 monthly meeting of the Nishman Complete Streets Committee to order. We're in the Schaefer Room at Town Hall, and we're joined by Carla Dougal, who's here. Hi, Carla. How are you? Catherine Kuzman, remotely from Canada. How are you today, Catherine?
Very good.
My name is Bill Chapman. I'm also here. Jim Levy has indicated he can't make it today, but excused. Ben O'Shea, the other co-chair. Chair is he?
Joins us a little.
Okay. And Brendan Kennedy
Hello.
has walked in the door. Brendan, how are you? Have a seat.
Hello, everyone.
Hello to you. And Tess Healing. That's it.
Check my email.
Oh, okay.
Brendan Kennedy. Nice to meet you.
Anyway, it's nice to meet you, Brendan. Bill Chapman,
Bill Chapman. Nice to
one of
meet
the
you.
co-chairs of Complete Streets.
Nice to meet you.
And quickly, let's just go around. Brian's introduced himself, but this is other people. And
Laura Robertson.
Hi. Nice to meet you in
our
person.
expert town planner.
Yes.
So I'll have some more handouts in a second. And Catherine Kuzman is in Canada. She joins us today. Well, as new members, can we call upon you to give us 60 seconds on why you're interested in Complete Streets and what you'd like to work on or what goal you might have for your time with us?
Alphabetically, you can go first.
Okay, thanks. I'm Brian Doherty, been a town resident for 12 years. I'm interested in Complete Streets because I do a lot of walking and a lot of bicycling around town. And my background is civil engineering. So I think that I may be able to add some good stuff to the committee.
Both civil and engineering. I
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
Anyway,
Brendan Kennedy. I've been a resident of Niskayuna for 7 years. I joined the committee. I've got 3 young kids, a 7, a 5, and a 3-year-old. We're active. We're out. I've got a dog. And I frequently take the CDTA for my neighborhood in Avon Crest. So I'm walking around a lot. We grew up in New York City. So walking is a kind of a way of life that I've gotten accustomed, not kind of lost to. So walking around the neighborhood.
accustomed or lost a little?
I'm accustomed to walking everywhere.
Okay.
And we have the Stewarts right on Console Road by our neighborhood, so it's walkable there. So yeah, I have a background in marketing and communications, which I know can always be helpful for committees like this to, be the squeaky wheel to get some funding, get some notice of things that are going on. So
Yes.
I'm excited to kind of just sit back here and learn from you guys all what's going on, and when the time comes, offer some advice and things that we can do to help.
You got appointed by the town board on the 24th. Your opinions are part of the committee, so don't wait around to speak up. If you've got something on your mind, let us know. So here's some goals. This is an article from Spain that I sent along. Here's a map of Van Nantwerp Road that was going to We're done. That's okay. Let's see. Well, with 8 members, we need 5 to do anything. Well, we'll take a look at our next meeting. So with 8 members, we'll.
Okay, so we'll bring the August 19th minutes back to the October meeting.
Okay, old business safety on Route 7, the linkage study update. And basically, we've had 9 auto fatality deaths in the last 4.5 years on Troy Road. And the town, our district attorney, Bob Carney, has reached out to the state and our town supervisor. And the town has really brought to the attention of the state DOT that conditions have gotten unsafe, and Route 7, I think is like a lot of other roads that the traffic dipped on roads during the coronavirus. And the people that like to drive somewhat recklessly did so. And they might have been able to get away with it a little more because all the safe drivers were working from home or staying home or whatever. And now the roads have gotten back into use again, but the reckless drivers have decided that speeding, drinking and driving and doing other things is kind of okay. And we've had a lot of serious accidents. And so we have, with Laura's effort and others, gotten a linkage study, which is $139,000 to retain, I guess, a consultant or an engineering firm to take a look at the road. And these will be experts that look at safety kinds of things. They'll get some input from town residents and certainly the planning office and others on what they believe would make Troy Road safer. And you live out that way, you know that we have sidewalks on both sides, and that's a good thing, but there are not a lot of crosswalks on the road, and bicyclists, you don't see many bicyclists, and you don't see a lot of people going across the road, even at the intersections. It's kind of rare to see pedestrians going across, and even in this committee, we have noted that Troy Road is kind of a dividing thing that keeps half of our community. Oh, hi, here's Tess Healy. She's joining. So, Tess, how are you? It's nice to see you. Tess Healy has joined the meeting, and this is Brian Doherty. This is Tess Healy
Brendan Kennedy.
and Brendan Kennedy. And we'll have to get you. Anyway, the 139,000 will have some citizens that will give some input, and so we'll be looking for some citizens to be on a committee to work with the consultant. And then we also, I think we'll have a smaller committee of folks that would like to advise our committee, but our hope is if we come up with some good ideas, some good infrastructure things, policy things, that it will help set the table for the state to spend money to do the things that would be required to make Troy Road a safer road. And more likely, because they've been involved with this study, I mean, they're as interested as we are in the elements that we learned from this study as things that we want to do. And then, like the Safe Streets and Roads for All, which is a federal program, I mean, I think the minimum grant there is $5 million. But you know, if you're going to redo Troy Road, you can spend $5 million easily. So, and also if the state acknowledges these issues, hopefully it makes it easier for them to take some money, a piece of the federal money that comes down, and allocate it to fixing that road. So,
Is there a consultant on board yet?
Yeah, so we don't hire the consultant. The Capital Region Transportation Council does. They put the RFP out, and I believe it should be almost done or very close to being done. But they haven't notified me of a consultant yet. I would expect it's got to be very soon. We should know who the consultant is. And then once you have the consultant on board, they'll start to do the community meetings, and then we can get a little more involved. But yeah, our next step right now is waiting for the consultant, which I still haven't heard about. Bill, I think I was mistaken. I think you can go back to the meeting because there's actually only 4 of you and you have 3 here and Andrew's gone. So you're the only 2 that can vote on the minutes.
Okay.
So you might as well.
okay. In that case, I would like to move adoption of the minutes from the August 19, 2024 meeting. And second, second. And so this is Carla and Catherine.
Yeah.
So all in favor adopting the August 19 minutes? So we're unanimous on that. Thank you very much. Any other questions that you have, or Tess, do you have any questions about the linkage study for Route 7 or what it will do and when we're going? Yes.
What do you love it? Sorry. Involvement, like you said, there's like a core group that probably are the experts of 5, and then do you have like, I mean, there's obviously public, the public will have an opportunity to go to meetings and interact with the consultant, but is there something in between as well, or is that?
I think there's probably like honestly at least 4 levels if you include the public. Cause they'll have like the committee that they put together, which we talked about before. It's like DOT, Hampton County, us, CRTC traffic engineers, like those planners, and then those guys less regularly than like kind of a larger group of people who like work with the consultant and come up with ideas. And then this unit itself can also have an even bigger group of people that are working on the plans and reviewing the things that are coming through from CRTC and then the public.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there'll be quite a few. Like DOT meets the least regularly.
Okay.
Like kind of the higher echelon people. I think if you look at the RFP, when we were reviewing the RFP, you know, I think the plan is like 6 or 7 meetings total with those guys.
Can we send this RFP to?
We can probably even send it, like, I mean, because I think it's posted on their website.
Okay.
Probably send the final.
Okay.
What is the study?
So the study goes from the intersection of Route 7 and St. David's Lane all the way to the border of the town of Colony.
Oh, okay.
The only reason we couldn't do St. David's Lane over to the city of Schenectady is that in and of itself is another linkage study. Yeah. So that intersection requires a lot of additional study to decide what needs to be done with it. So the intersection of Route 7 and Balltown Road was left off.
So it says the transportation, the study advisory committee, again, Transportation Council will work with a consultant to establish a study advisory committee. Study advisory committee shall be comprised of at least representatives from the town of Niskayuna, which will be part of the staff. A Transportation Council, CDRPC, Capital District Regional Planning Council, Capital District Transportation Authority, New York State DOT, Schenectady County, and local citizens. Citizen representation on the study advisory committee should be representative, though not necessarily entirely comprised of vulnerable populations, such as people who walk or cycle as their primary mode of transportation, people of color, low-wage earners, people who live in a household without a personal vehicle, people with 1 or more disabilities, people over 65, 16 people whose primary language is not English. And so we had Mary O'Keefe, I believe, who was here. So people that actually ride the bus regularly would certainly want those folks on. And you know, we have certainly been looking at like a crosswalk between Hickory and Bellevue, one that would be needed. But there is, beside the citizens that will be on that committee, they do reference a kind of a smaller committee that would be any citizens that want to be on it, people that are residents of Troy Road, so that we do get citizen input and they some stuff. But this is a good thing, and it's not electronically. I'll give you a paper copy of it so that you can.
Yeah, Complete Streets has essentially committed, I believe actually $14,000 of income, which we're doing through our volunteer service. So don't be afraid to roll up the sleeves and dive in and keep track of all the hours.
You've committed your work already, so and the rest of us too. And
They're starting in.
Yeah, I mean, the last I talked to them, the RFP had to be out for a month, but I believe it's been out for a month. So probably they're reviewing the proposals would be my guess right now.
Okay.
And then they'll let us know when they've selected it. They have a very established grid for review and a point system. So they'll probably just tell us, you know, who they select for their consultant.
Carla lives on Algonquin, which is not far from Route 7. And Catherine Kuzman also lives just off of Route 7 at the other end, close to Shannon Boulevard. So they're quite familiar with struggling with Route 7. Actually, I think we all are. But so there will be opportunities for input on the linkage study. And it'll be good to take a look at the RFP to see what's involved and We did have a piece on the grant for the linkage study that basically identifies some of the things we look at. Right,
Yeah, so the idea is
share
it's a
those
complete
two.
street study for the corridor.
Yeah.
We look at things like road diets, medians, bigger sidewalks, bike lanes, you name it, traffic calming, street trees, all of the above. Get the public input on it, get ideas and concepts that we can run past people, and then use those concepts to show that we've already like publicly vetted what the complete streets could, treatments to Route 7 could be. And then you use those to either get DOT to pay for them itself, or use them to get a grant from the federal government. So,
A good
Yeah,
sized
so
chunk of
what are
that are infrastructure recommendations, not just a speed limit or some signage, just changing the architecture of the road to try to.
slow
bring some
people
traffic
down.
calming.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on safety on Route 7? Anything from you, Catherine, or, oh, okay. All
No.
right, let's move on to the draft comprehensive plan, chapter on mobility and transportation. And, again, the town is in the midst of updating its comprehensive plan. And the, mobility and transportation, they also look at land use and recreation and it's public services. I should know all the categories right off, but anyway, we've been working on it for several months and, it'll probably be the 2024, 2025, comp plan, but, we volunteered to take a first cut at the, chapter on mobility and transportation from Plan 2013. It's out there, paper copies, and well, I'm going to stop there and let Carla and Catherine speak on that. They've been kind of leading our effort to draft a new version. It's like Lincoln's new breath of fresh air for transportation in this year. Either one is there.
Well, I've been working on it some, but,
A lot.
a lot if you count the whole year, but, a little more snail's pace, this month, but, I actually, in terms of like recommendations, like Bill, you had set out criteria in one of your previous, versions or plan, of the safety chapter, and you had set out a bunch of criteria, and I was wondering, like the recommendations that we're going to be doing, it's going to obviously include that at some level. Like how do you choose, like, if you say, Van Antwerp over like Rosendale in terms of, and
No, I actually, well, in terms of getting them done, we really kind of want to identify some goals of things that we want to do. In other words, I did share this sheet with the county roads. We have a number of county roads in the town, but we are, I think part of it is what's happening in the town. In other words, we have some solid citizen interest in Van Antwerp Road, and so we're looking at that. But I think kind of our first priority was trying to get safe routes to schools. That people are in cars, and our thinking was, if students can get on side paths or sidewalks, that's an important thing, and that's why we were kind of focused on, some roads that the town school district is going to move all the 5th and 6th graders to Van Antwerp Middle School in 2028, 7th and 8th graders to Iroquois Middle School in 2028, and so and part of it was, and then we've also had parents that have reached out to us, like on Birchwood Lane, Birchwood Elementary, Birchwood Lane, but there's a lot of traffic using it in morning and evening. And parents at Hillside would say, well, Cornelius and even Nicholas and Plum that we've done a sidewalk on, the kids are in the road with the buses and the cars. So we need to get some walkways you know, for those folks. And I think it's like really looking at safety things, that if we want students to get to Iroquois Middle School on bikes or walking, then Rosendale is a very curvy, windy road, a lot of traffic. There's no multi-use side path. Van Antwerp Road kind of the same way. And so we figured we'd get our best buy-in from the public if, you know, we focus on safety first and doing that. And then, you know, other steps as we go along.
So are you saying just about we list that we don't necessarily rank them? Because I think that's what we talked about.
Yeah,
Well-
and you basically did that in your section. I mean, in terms of
Yeah,
safety, but like when you start working on like say Van Antwerp, and it's like, okay, this is an easy lift from the circle to Knott Street East, and then, but is there an easy lift elsewhere, like on another county road where maybe addresses schools, you know, like you could maybe go from.
Yeah. Well, that's how I was kind of.
Maybe just list all of them.
Right,
Yeah.
right, just for, I mean, for the purpose of this, it's just guidelines or whatever,
Yeah.
but do you talk about,
Well, I think we sort of do that in the text that, I mean, we have made the pitch that, well, we have 21 county roads and they go through the town. And so we want to take advantage of them being arteries to get around the town. And we're starting on some that are already sort of in play because we got a solid set of citizens on Van Antwerp Road that want a side path. We're also working on some citizens on Van Antwerp Road, and also if we want to encourage parents to have their kids walk or bike to school, we have to have a safe way to get there first so that they're not endangering their kids in doing that. So getting a side path on Rosendale would be an important kind of a thing. Being able to get across Troy Road, important kind of a thing. And so we'd be doing that. And then others that are like on Birchwood Lane or Cornelius. I think we want to do it by starting where we've already got some groundwork, or we know we've got some citizen support to do some of the things we want to do. And then we branch out. It's like Trish has told us at the last meeting that Pierce Road, it's not very walkable, and you know, there are other St. David's Lane, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Console Road because we have some sidewalk segments and want to do more. But I kind of think when we look at all of the county roads, you can sort of tell from our text that we've identified 4 or 5 that we have some ideas that we want to do something on. And so there are a little bit of priorities, but we don't want to neglect any of them. And part of it is we don't have a budget really. We just try to get things done by looking at, well, what's the school district doing? If they're spending money on revamping things, they're doing parking lots, we want to say, hey, can you pave the pathways from the edge of your property to the school building so someone could ride a bike there? Or the Kelts property up here, he's building a property at the end, and there's a painted crosswalk on River Road, but not a push button one. And so we asked him to move his crosswalk down to where he was, across from Blackman Park. So the developer paid the freight on that.
Yeah, so
And
the,
others, we hit National Grid, we hit the county, we hit the state, we hit the town.
do you think that's all?
I think so.
Okay.
If Jim Levy were here, he would say, you don't want to put too much detail on all these projects in the text, because then you set yourself up for, oh, you failed. You did all these things. We're really want to talk about kind of the big picture plan, which, you know, we talk about with this right here, which is moving from just cars getting around, that roads belong to the cars. Get these bikes and walkers out of here. We've got to change that around, because walkers and bikers pay their taxes too. They want to walk and get around safely. And so, you know, we're doing that.
Yeah, so
And
that's what we're talking
that's
about.
the emphasis.
General in the
Yeah.
parent.
I mean, the only thing I wanted to add to that is that hopefully this month, what I want to do is start working on the appendix, which is basically a listing of all the proposed projects that we're aware of. We're not going to set any priorities with those projects. It's just the purpose is to be as inclusive as possible. And from that, once it goes to the public outreach process, I would imagine then we'll also hear from the public, and they may want to add some additional projects. So for the purpose of this chapter, I don't see us setting priorities. However, I think within that appendix, I think we can say which projects kind of hit on all of our goals, which is connectivity, safety, and mobility. So if we can identify a group of projects that hits all of those kind of priority areas that we're looking at, I mean, that may be a way of setting, priorities. But I don't think it's all that important to do that for the purpose of this of the chapter itself. So that's what I'm going to try to do this month, is just start working on that appendix with the help of the folks in our little team here, Carla and Bill. But I still think we need to identify, several projects like within the safety section, the body of the paper. Some projects that, we want to give context to it. This is why we are proposing this project. This is what will happen if this project goes through, and give examples of that. So we want to keep some projects listed within the body, but I just don't see us having a list of 10 or 12 projects in there, for each, or 15 or 20, because I can see that happening within the body of the text itself. So that's my goal for the next month, is to continue working on that. I still want to work on my section, which is mobility. So I had a conversation with Bill yesterday, and he reminded me about e-bikes. So hopefully I can look at what other communities are doing to address e-bikes. That's all.
I'm not suggesting that we prioritize, but I just, even just looking at Van Antwerp, and looking at that segment, and it is an easy lift, and it is like there's undeveloped land there and everything, but also do we have a set of priorities in terms of how we tackle it? And I mean, you've outlined school as being very important.
Yes, they are.
I mean, if you're kind of building the blocks of something.
Well, safety is a big one in my mind, where you've already got, you see some traffic generators that are there, and you want them to be able to move safely, then that's kind of a priority thing. And, I almost feel like the school has done that for us by saying we're moving all 7th and 8th graders to Iroquois. You can't really get there easily walking now, but if we do a couple things, which is getting a side path on Rosendale Road, and we also get a way to use River Road Park for folks that live in Old Niskuna to Scott Street East, Fox Hollow, Hempstead, get into the park, and then the back way from the park is to get over to Rosendale Elementary, and then from there over there. So even people that live in Old Niskuna could ride a 15 or 10 speed or regular bike and get to school. And so that's kind of how I see it. And I think we've talked about in these things that we do have some local expertise from looking at all these issues, and we do want to get some of that into the town plan. So it's not like the planning board and other people are just sort of guessing about what we had in mind when we recommended things. We have some specific things in there that are examples of what we'd like to see done. And it doesn't mean that, there aren't other ones. I mean, some projects may be in the appendix, and we wouldn't want citizens to say, well, but what about Console Road, or what about this? And if we've mentioned one in the appendix, and Jim Levy likes that because the appendix is a document that really, the latest version might be an appendix in the master plan, but we say it's a dynamic document, and that we're adding things to it. So it's not in stone in the master plan. We have examples in there, but we have other more specific things that we can refer to, which can be changed. Just what we're doing. So I don't know. Is that a bit of an answer, Carlo?
Yeah, but it's still, in a way, the squeaky wheel does get the.
Yes.
Because it's the showing.
Yes.
So
Yes. And I guess a little bit of answer is safety, and that's why, if we can get the community hooked to safety to schools, then we start working on access to the parks, business, other things like that. And some part of what we do here is also in many ways dependent on what else is happening. Like we got the crosswalk on River Road because the Kelps property was being developed. And we got some improvements in front of the co-op block because the county decided to do something with the parking and stuff there. So, we got sidewalks on both sides. We got the push button crosswalks. And we're working on the school district because they've bonded a lot of money and they're doing things. So, the high schools put in more paths to get to the high school. And as we see developments going on, and then we try to capitalize on them. And just another quick example around the CBS up here, they've cleaned out the weeds and knocked down some homes. And so there may be some development there, but our thought is, gee, if we can get a pathway that goes from the post office back to Van Antwerp Road, then people that come down Street East will have, without being on Baltimore Road, but have an asphalt path to get to CBS and from there to Van Antwerp Middle School. And then, we really need to look big picture, which they've done in this city in Spain. It's like, well, how do we move people north-south on Balltown Road, east-west on Route 7 and other things so that we have a little bit of a vision of what we want and then just try to capitalize on what's happening in the town because, we have no budget. We kind of have to jump on what's happening and try to get stuff done. Anyway, anything further from Carla or Catherine on?
Nope.
Okay. So we will send you electronically our latest draft. And then I'd encourage you, I think it's out there, or I can give you one, which is to, lots of us have started off by reading the old comp plan 2013, looking at the mobility chapter in that to see, well, what were we thinking 10 years ago, 2013, and what are we thinking now? And I handed this out in part because to me it strikes me as almost this is the city in Spain, Pontevedra. Is that how you'd say it? I mean,
Don't ask me.
don't ask you. But when I read this, it almost is an example of a city that we'd like to be at. They're 20 years ahead of us, but in terms of our vision of where we're going in the town, what we want to encapsulate in the mobility and transportation chapter of the comp plan is really some goals that get us there. And it's sort of, not only do we have some technical things that we're talking about, like, okay, we need Balltown Road, Troy Road, need some other things, but we have a vision in our minds of what it would look like. And, they point to how many,
Another printed one, because it's not letting me
yeah.
look at it.
One of the things that's kind of most impressive to me was 80% of children aged 6 to 12 walk to school. Now, what is that in this unit? It might be 5%. So, I mean, they've made some real progress. In order for people to walk safely to school, they have to have the healthy infrastructure in place. Otherwise, we can't ask parents to put their first to fourth graders going across Troy Road to get to Berkshire Elementary, or even bike riding on Rosendale Road. It's just not safe. But if we do some things, we can certainly improve the ability of people, especially if you have the walking bike train with parents that are willing to pick up kids at the house and help them cross, then they can walk to school. And I think we don't want to be in a situation where our children and grandchildren get to the point and they say, hey, Bill, hey, Brian, hey, Brendan, where was you folks? I mean, you had global warming you've known about for 20 years and, you haven't done anything. So they're going to start biking and walking and they'll have to play catch up baseball, but at least we can do a step or two here by getting some infrastructure in place so you can get to those places. And then once we do schools, then it's getting to work, and just good examples in here. And I do feel like, say streets narrowed, sidewalks were widened, speed limit was lowered, traffic calming measures like raised pedestrian crosswalks and other physical barriers were installed, more lighting, trees, green spaces, And they do say, in the beginning, some businesses were like, we don't want this, we're gonna lose customers. But after a while, it became much more walkable and everybody wanted it. It's like you go down to New York City, you go to Times Square, it's walkable. People love it. And the same thing would be true here, that if we can get around the town by walking or biking, it'll be a wonderful place to live. They'll love it. And it'll be good for the mental health of people because we'll be getting fresh air, good for students. And, you know, they do point out that three things that are important is one, the staff is, you know, very much behind it. And that you have to have a town board that has political will to do some things that are hard sometimes, which is for the greater good. You know, you might have to have a sidewalk in front of your house or a side path. So if you live on Rosendale Road and you have a side path that's, you know, 10 feet from your front door, well, there are a couple of people who wouldn't be happy about that. But some of them would say, this is good because we can move up and down Rosendale Road. Kids can get to Van Antwerp safely, and we want to do that. And you also have to have the public behind you. And of course, if you're politicians, if the voters love it and we get votes, well, then we like it too. And that's part of doing the bike rodeos, doing the public education. It's kind of so important as an aspect of our work that we do that because we're building the support to do the kinds of things. And you've even seen Laura sympathizing that, well, the Sharks have been going to work on our budget. They put the money in there to do some things, a little bit cutting it, and we're trying to save a little bit by spending some of that money. But it's part of that effort that you've got to have reinforce board members. And then I do think we have Laura and other staff members that are really tuned in to Complete Streets and want to see good things happen. So anyway, I'll stop pretty quickly and apologize once again. I'm what Dave Lincoln would say is a bulletproof preacher. It takes him twice as long to get the message out of his lips. And so
I appreciate the article and the part where it says initially the public opposed it, but eventually they were on board. So I feel like sometimes we have to say, you know, if anybody doesn't want it, you know, we're not going to try it. Or, you know, like when we did that traffic calming, you know, trial thing and people were all upset, but like, you know, so.
It's important for leaders to have the political courage to implement the project despite initial opposition. That's hard, but it is really important.
and we did work on the sidewalks on that street, but we had a 2-block segment where neighbors didn't want it. It's on that street from Baker Avenue to Lexington Parkway. And I just said to the county legislators, how could you not do this? This is a safety thing. It's a hill. The motorists can't see the pedestrians can't see the motorists. But
Yeah.
they waffled to a small set of residents that didn't want the sidewalk. And it's taken us 20 years from 2003 to 2024 to get that fixed, that last 2-block segment. Now, of course, this Chapman guy didn't go away. He's
But it does say like, so
bucking them.
once you try it for a long time, the public must also understand and support the policies and defend them through voting. So
Yeah.
and like, you have to like, I think, like the angle of parking on the co-op was very, very opposed initially, but I actually think with the exception of one of the owners, it worked out fine. Like
Yeah.
they're fine. Their business has been suffer. Everybody's doing okay, and more people are walking there. But so I think that even though they initially resisted it, now they would probably vote for it. But you do need the.
The same with the bike path right out here on Knott Street East, that the residents on the other side of Van Antwerp didn't want it, and they
You have
lobbied
to
against it.
execute well enough
They have
that you'll
to.
get the support at the end. Yeah.
And so, and that's where we are. So it's, and people have to have the 20-year perspective on this committee. If you think you're going to serve for 6 months and you're going to transform, it won't work. But if you keep plugging, and you know, some part of it is just taking advantage of things that are happening, like the school's doing this, the Kelts property is being developed, the town's doing this, the state's doing something. We got to quit. Okay. All right, good. All right. 2024-25 budget items. Can we just
Yeah.
say where we're at?
At our last meeting, we said, let's go ahead and try and do the engineering for the Cornelius sidewalk and the Birchwood sidewalk and the Palmer sidewalk. The Palmer, the intent is both the engineering and construction, trying at least to encumber that this year. And then Cornelius and Birchwood Avenue would just be engineering, because we already know that we have a construction estimate of the two of those put together is about $1 million. So what we're gonna try and do is award contracts for the engineering on Cornelius and Birchwood in October. I have asked 3 quotes on these sidewalks. 2 of them are in. I'm gonna try and keep the engineering for those 2 projects below $60,000, and then that leaves $125,000 for engineering and hopefully construction award on the Palmer.
Do you say those numbers again? I'm sorry.
Okay, so the
We're gonna do-
goal is in October to award engineering for Cornelius and Birchwood out of the equipment and capital outlay line. So I'm trying to keep that under $60,000.
It's gonna go to the 60s.
That's what I'm trying to do. And then the ADA compliance line is for Palmer Avenue. And so I think I should be able to award engineering for Palmer in October. But the goal for Palmer, because the engineering is not going to be spectacularly expensive, would be to also try and actually get bid and award by the December meeting so that that can be encumbered and used in the spring. That's my goal.
So we did a Quality Communities grant to get money for Birchwood Lane for a sidewalk and a crosswalk, and also on Cornelius Avenue for a sidewalk that would go from Hillside Elementary to Ray Street. But we didn't get the grant, and the town board, to their credit, did put this money in here, which was a 30 or 40% match.
It's 50.
And 50%, which is really pretty courageous. I mean, I have to give the town board credit for doing that. Had we gotten those grants, we'd be doing those projects. So they have indicated their support for us, support for Complete Streets by putting that money in. And you've indicated before that, well, getting grant money a lot of times dependent on, do you have an engineered project? So it's easier for grant folks if you know what you're going to do and how much it's going to cost. And so we don't want to lose this money. We want to use it while it's still there. And we're going to use it by doing the 1 block segment between Grand Boulevard and Story to do that 1 block sidewalk, taking up to Van Antwerp. And then we're going to do the engineering work on Birchwood Lane and Cornelius, in the hopes that, you know, there's another grant out there that we set ourselves up to be more likely to get that grant money in a grant than by doing that.
So I'm just waiting for one last quote.
Sure.
And
Okay.
then I'll have those to recommend to the town board in October.
So I like this and that we can move quickly when we have to. So
Try. Yeah.
good job. Okay. With that, I hope that's clear to everyone here. Okay, e-bikes. And this is an item that we were going to, address somewhat in our town comprehensive plan chapter. And I have gotten an email from Councilwoman Jessica Brennan, who both the police chief and Jessica said, we've gotten comments from citizens that we may need some kind of regulation on e-bikes. And I think there's kind of, there's on roads in the town and there's the Mall Hudson bike path. And I think bicyclists and pedestrians on the bike path have kind of made and you can correct me, a bit of an accommodation that bikers are used to pedestrians. They'll say coming up on your left, and people understand that and get around. And but there are some people that ride motorized bikes that are reckless, and it's a question of, well, how do you adjust to that, or what can you do? And so Jessica's asked for some input, and so I know she mentioned is there a pamphlet or the brochure or something out on the town website that we'd have to look at? But
Yeah, so what they want us to do is that essentially the town is starting to struggle with bikes. They've had some bad experiences and a couple crashes. And so they're consider us to be good researchers and recommenders and experts in these things. They would like us to research what other towns are doing. They would like us to read and see what has been successful in regulating e-bikes, and then make some recommendations to the town board on how to handle the issue.
Well, Brian or Brendan, either of you interested in doing some digging on e-bikes and what municipalities have done? Or what
I do. I have two elderly parents that are both e-bike converts.
Okay.
That's just their way to get around in the neighborhoods that they live in. So, yeah, I'm happy
Okay.
to look into those and see what.
Not that other people won't help, but if it's
Yeah.
even just, e-bikes and safety or whatever, and I know there are folks, and it might even be me one of these days soon, is that you have people using the bike path, but the hill getting up to GE or other hills are steep. And so it's good to get out and pedal as best you can, but if your choice is get off your bike and walk it, which I've done,
Well,
or get some assistance from a motor that keeps you out there using it, but
and there's different levels of the e-bike. So there's the ones that you have to pedal, and there's the ones that have their own throttle. And New York State has its own rules about them, which I think people don't even really know. And there's also rules about kids on e-bike that New York State has made that people don't really know. So I feel like first we need to understand how New York State regulates them, understand that framework, and then look at how communities in New York State adopt higher regulations, to mitigate some of the issues. Some of the
So we
things that
can't
we've
water
talked about
down the
before is
state.
like essentially speed limits on the bike paths, like if it's a, which I'm not even 100% sure about this, but if it's a throttling e-bike, should that be allowed on the bike paths? Or if it has a throttle, does that then mean that it should be on the roads and not mixing with pedestrians? And
is that something the
there's a lot
county
of
legislature would have to do for the bike path that goes all the way across Schenectady County, so
So
they'd have to
that
do it.
is what we're tasked to do. We got to figure out New York rules. We got to figure out what other towns have done doing, what counties have been doing. They don't ask a lot for us, and they did ask for us to learn about this and do recommendations for them. So we should start to become e-bike experts.
Maybe it depends on their maximum speed, because I used an e-bike once and it did have a throttle. But the fastest I could get it to go was like 20 miles per hour, which is analogous to if you were just pedaling your bicycle. So if a throttle could make it go like at a, beyond a normal bicycle speed, then that shouldn't be allowed.
So I'm not an
Potentially.
expert, but I think that if you throttle higher than 30 miles an hour, you're considered a motorcycle or something like that.
That seems.
So I
reasonable.
think that like they make the e-bikes to be 29.
Okay,
And between 20 and 29, that can be pretty fast
Yeah.
on those multi-use paths. So, but like, I'm not an expert. I think that is the way, because I see that with pools, right? New York State does not regulate pools if they hold less than 2 feet of water. So the little kiddie pools that you buy from Lowe's, they all hold 1 foot, 11 inches of water. Does that mean that you can't fill them up a little bit higher and get more than 2 feet? No, you can do that, but they're sold at 1 foot, 11 inches so that they meet regulations. I think e-bikes are sold, especially the throttle ones, at 29 miles an hour.
okay.
But I think sometimes you can't even go faster than if you mess around with them. So. Or I don't know. I don't think they break for you. I don't really know. You can become the expert.
So any more on e-bikes, or is that enough for today? And we'll get started. And I suppose any one of us can look up e-bikes and start getting educated and
Meaning for discussion.
all right, new business Console Road concept plan. Say a word about that.
Yeah, so this is something that we've been talking about for a while.
Carla did go out and walk it, and it's part of, a while back, but we do have some segments. One of our goals is where we have sidewalks where there's some sidewalks and it jumps to grass, then sidewalk again. We want to get those filled in. And so when Carla was doing her chapter, she did look at Console Road and said, oh, we have some segments where there's sidewalk and then grass in between. So,
Yeah, so the Ingersoll home is on the right. Hannaford Plaza is on the left. This is Console Road.
Uh,
There's a section of sidewalk that is showing here looking like actual sidewalk, which isn't built yet. And you need an easement from the property owner. So what we're gonna do with this concept we paid for, one, the concept helps to get funding and grants, but two, we can bring the concept out to the homeowner and try and get an easement now that we have this information.
So where on this is it sidewalk and where is it just being gas?
So this is, the sidewalk stops right here in real life. And here in real life. This is all missing right here. This is all missing. This is
There's a house right there, right?
This is a house, yeah.
So is that Oakmont up at the other end?
This is Oakmont up
That's
here,
Oakmont.
yeah.
So that's all missing.
So
that's
this is
the
our
piece
concept
we
plan.
do, or is there anything past the Ingersoll home that we would do at this?
No, I
point?
think it does stop at the Ingersoll.
Okay. So who would walk on this? Is it,
This is where we need the easement here. Because this is the road, this is the swale, this is the property line, and this is really the edge of where we would need to install the sidewalk. So this gives us idea of how much, where, what we need to ask for, and the guy, when we have talked to him before, has been concerned about privacy. So it also includes landscaping.
So that's where you put the link. So
Yeah, so essentially this is sort of like a PR tool to see if we can get the easement. Once we get the easement, then we would tackle the engineering and the funding.
could we ask the county to do this? It's the county road or?
Possibly, the county, no one can do this without an easement, and it's a substantial easement. So we need to get the easement first.
Does the piece between Oakmont and Hannaford have that big swale, or does it just have a curve?
Well,
It does, okay. Good.
so that's why you can't really get the sidewalk in the right of way. Because we're not really big fans of the closed street anymore. So we don't want to bury that. So somehow you have to accommodate the swale, the sidewalk, and the landscaping. One thing or another would wind up on private property. So in this example, the swale would stay where it is, then they would do the sidewalk.
it's a great idea. I mean, it's the missing link there, and it has potential to, as a building block to connect the retirement community, or both retirement communities, and all the neighborhoods to the north and the south, including up to like Avon Crest neighborhood. If you could get the sidewalk going out.
To keep
way out
going.
there,
Yeah, no, yeah,
So
you
that's
definitely
like-
want it to keep going after you, but this piece is actually probably the hardest piece, which is why we have to do this concept drawing. Even just the survey for it's very hard. Survey on county roads is just very difficult. They're old, the right of way varies. So this isn't even a true survey. It's just based off of design drawings, but it is a concept drawing that we can use to try and get the easement.
So would our ultimate goal just to be able to get down to Brendan Lane, which would, or to get all the way down to St. David's Lane? Soul Road,
I mean,
Balltown,
honestly, the ultimate goal would be to have a walking path on the entirety of Console Road. It's got very small shoulders. It's hard to walk on. But the sidewalk the whole way.
okay, yep, yep, yep. Okay. I understand, so that picks up the new development,
Fieldstone
Fieldstone.
Estates.
Fieldstone, yeah,
Yes.
Fieldstone Estates, yeah.
Yeah, you're connecting the neighborhoods to the shopping centers, both shopping centers, and the neighborhoods to each other and to the park, Avon Crest Park, if you could
Yeah.
get it to go.
Well, there is a blue, which you don't see here on this map, where you get across the adult facility there that, I think there's an asphalt, or was planned asphalt trail there that you'd get over to Avon Crest Park, but
Through Glen.
through the Glen Eddy, yes.
Yeah, they're right on the Glen Eddy side. It doesn't look like there's anything. I think you have to come around, but there is a driveway that could potentially connect if you had some kind of path in there. That would take you to the park.
Okay. So the first work is on the easement, is that right? So is that our attorney reaching out or who? does
So
the legal-
actually right now. John Delgado is supporting, is
Okay.
going to try and reach out to begin with.
Okay.
But I'll let you guys know
Okay,
when needed.
okay. Planning project updates?
So pretty slow for the planning department right now. Don't have any project referrals yet. Do expect to see some towards the end of the year.
Uh, as I did say, I mean, we don't sell pumpkin pies, so we have to find support for things that we do in other people's budgets. But, you know, the planning board has projects and Laura has done a good job. As a matter of fact, I think it's even part of our planning thing that projects come here so that we get a chance to see, oh, what's the pedestrian connection? Where's the connection to bikes or whatever? And like Pelt's property, I mean, he might not have been that wild about moving the push button crosswalk across from what, but it wasn't coming out of his pocket. He was just going to build it into the cost of the houses. And so we were just there to, you know, to take advantage of that. And so other planning projects that come along, if we were like, oh, if we got a little bit of a walkway here, then we can hook it to this one here, and we ultimately get to, a bigger system like this when we see here, and it's incremental, but since we don't have the money, they are important. And also, we've tried to look at links where it's almost a bottleneck, or if you could just make this jump right here, which is like getting from East Country Club, it's kind of a neighborhood that's locked in. You can go to Upper Union or you can go to Rosendale Road, but can't really get out. But if you had a path that you got out of that neighborhood, say down to Rattle Road or over to Ruffner Road, then suddenly all those folks and students could ride their bikes and get out. They would not be on a busy road. So we're trying to take advantage of that. Anyway.
Yeah, so you guys will see that when there are projects, but there aren't any this one.
Speed bumps on Birchwood Lane. You had a gentleman that was gonna,
Yeah,
Here.
Christian, he never came.
okay, well, I can send you the information on, Mardella Road, and we had a earlier neighborhood on Wyoming Avenue where the Complete Streets Committee 2 or 3 years ago asked the town board if they would consider speed humps on that road as a traffic calming device. And it's Garling Avenue, I think, is kind of a transit route, which traffic on Wyoming has grown up just because computers.
Actually did a lot of research on that. Do you want to hear talk about it real fast with you guys?
Yes, go right ahead.
On the speed humps, do you remember when we did the research on the speed humps on Wyoming?
I do remember it. Well, I did it in Colony.
Yeah, you talked to the guy in Colony. Yeah.
Do you want me, I could send them
Yeah, can you send your
my summary? Yeah.
Yeah, I think some of the challenges we found for the speed humps were it's sort of hard to make them temporary as a demonstration project, right? And then the town board was concerned that if we put one there, did we really want to put speed humps kind of everywhere on this, which we weren't really sure about yet.
Yeah. We created them out of blacktop in Colony.
In the Mardella
Right.
Road, yeah.
Mhm.
So,
So I think one of the things that we can, so Tess can share that information
Yeah.
with them, and then another thing that we can share with Christian, hopefully he's able to attend the next meeting, is that if we are able to get the engineering for Birchwood sidewalks, we can have them look at, the engineers can look at that intersection and see, like, maybe that would be a really good place to try them. Because we'll have a design engineer there to look at that issue. Sometimes I think we struggle a little bit because we get to the point where we can recommend something, but it isn't fully engineered, or, we aren't traffic designers. So I think right now it'd be really cool if we can leverage some of the quotes we might get on these sidewalks, to just have that expert take a look at that real fast for us too.
So I'd encourage you both to take a drive on Mardella Road. It's in Colony, is that right?
Yeah.
Right off the center. Central and,
Creek.
Sand Creek.
Sand Creek,
Yeah.
yep.
And they also said it's not only Mordella, it's Mordella, Delafield, Rappel Road, and Pine Avenue, 4 streets over there.
Yep.
And the guy in Colony, who plowed it,
So that, yeah, they just put the plows on float and it goes right over it.
Les Decker. And, our town board members have said, well, you may hook the plow on the thing, but they only go up 4 inches, and there are 7 of them on Mordella Road. And so it does work to calm traffic, and there's an access to a school that goes over there. So, I mean,
Said the humps were made from molds the village created themselves with 2x4 lumber based on DOT specific template. Then they filled it in with filled it in and blacktopped it.
Yeah, because I had spoken to them maybe 6 or 8 years ago on a project I was working. I spoken to Colony.
Okay.
At that time, they were talking about, they were interested in some rubber ones. That would be easier on the plows too, but they never implemented them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we looked at the cost of rubber ones. I think Tess actually got a quote for them. Because we were wondering if we could just do a demonstration project with them just to see, because some of the negatives we've heard is that when the trucks go over them, their backs bound and they can be loud, or
Yeah.
cars can not realize they're there until kind of late, and so they can kind of slam on the brakes. And so there's been sometimes some noise complaint.
Mhm.
So if we do a demonstration project, it would be interesting to see, you know, if that's really something that you would want in your neighborhood or not. But it's really hard to do a demonstration project because you basically install them.
yeah, but I think that would be a good thing. I mean, you look at the Mordella Road, you just put 3 of them on Birchwood Lane, and you see how it works. And, you know, if there's a problem, you can always just take them out. But,
You'd probably just do one if you get the intersection of the Birchwood.
well, we're gonna have a crosswalk there. You'd want a couple of on Birchwood that would slow the traffic before they get to the
Yeah,
crosswalk.
so I've never actually driven Mordella, but I do. Do you guys know how far apart the humps are?
something,
There's 7 of them on the
I have it
road.
in the thing.
something kind of close.
Oh, really? Because our section of Birchwood is very short. It goes from literally Route 7 to Birchwood Elementary. It doesn't go very far after that.
They're just coming down the hill.
550 feet.
It's short. Yeah. I don't know if they have speed humps that close together.
When you first talked to them, Tess, was Mordella the only road that had it, and then they followed suit quickly with these other? Or was that
It was,
an example that you looked at?
no, that they were on Mordella, Delafield, Rappel and Pine.
Okay, so that was just an example.
Yeah, you can drive it. I encourage people to go and to drive it and or even walk it. As a matter of fact, I said I was gonna go talk to the neighbors myself, because it's been there for probably 10 years or something like that. What do they say? And there might be a couple that would say, oh, it's noisy when a truck goes over it, but I mean, they've been there, they love them, so.
Anecdotally, when my parents moved here, they were looking at a house on Mordella, and that was a deal breaker for them.
They didn't want to live on a place that had a speed hump.
That and the anticipated traffic of buses and cars and things, and anticipating having their grandkids.
Well, if you buy a house on a road that's got a school on it, then of course you
Yeah.
have to anticipate some school and bus traffic, but I don't know, to me, seems like it's a workable solution. And but you button up against a town board that maybe either doesn't want to do it because it might be expensive or it might be popular, and so everybody would want them on their streets in town. And obviously, some of the sidewalks we're talking about on schools, you can't do them all over town. People wouldn't want them, but generally people, I think, are on the way to a school. It makes sense to have a sidewalk. So, but for now, I just read, Tess is going to send that to
Yeah,
you
I'm gonna email it to you.
and drive it. And we should all drive it. And
I drive by it all the time. I've just never driven
Yeah,
down it.
yeah. go right down. And I think they
And
say,
then,
hey, this is a nothing burger. We could do this and it would be good.
yeah, but I think having that design engineer looking at the sidewalks, it's
Yes.
a no-brainer to have them to see
Yes.
how that would work for the speed bumps, if that could be included.
And where would the bumps be? I'm not, Sure.
So I am not a traffic engineer, like I was just envisioning like kind of one raised hump slash crosswalk thing in front of Birchwood. I don't know if you can fit, I don't know how many you can fit between Birchwood and Route 7. It's really not that many.
Space. In between.
Yeah.
So you think of
Oh, Catherine, that's what I think too.
7, you turn to go up, Birchwood Lane. And, you know, you'd have the crosswalk right at the school, so you wouldn't have one there. I think you'd have them on either side. And if we put a couple on Birchwood Lane coming in, it's possible the town of Colony, since they've done them over on streets there, that they might even put them on Denison. But, you know, I'd say if you did 2
And it's
on your
probably
map here,
about 1,200 feet.
so you do 2. I mean,
So
Colony, they did 550 each. So
this is what I'm respectfully saying. I think it's hard for volunteers to just be like, let's just put you, because the hill on Birchwood is, I think, significantly higher than Mardella.
oh, yes.
I am just recommending that we have, if we're able to award an engineering contract, we have them look at it. They can tell us whether you can put them on a hill like that or whether it would make sense to put it near there. I get that you guys want them, but I don't think that we can say you can do or not until we have somebody look.
Well, but I mean, if the town board is gonna rely on Complete Streets to give them some information on e-bikes and other things, I mean, we're the board that advises them on these things. We advise them to do it on Wyoming, and they say no for a variety of reasons. But here, we've got some residents, and we also support a sidewalk over there, a crosswalk in front of the school, a push button crosswalk in front of the school. And we think these, I mean, there's speedy traffic because there's now people going over to Colony. So there's a lot more cars morning and evening on Birchwood Lane. And so
Yeah.
having a traffic calming device is a good thing. And so I don't think we're not the engineers, but that doesn't prevent us from making a recommendation to say, look, we
Yeah,
think
I just-
speed humps would work here. Or
I just don't
can we
like
please
it.
look at it?
In my recollection, so we can- we rec-
Right, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
But there's a stop sign at the school, is it?
Yeah, there's a stop sign at the crosswalk.
So. Need a speed bump there.
Yeah, so-
Traffic is stopped.
Right. If there was a space where there wasn't like a house on either side, like I would maybe just put one there. Cause then nobody would be annoyed by it being right in front of their house.
Yeah, it's pretty tightly packed there, but we can
Okay.
we'll look at it. I'm just saying we'll
Yes.
look at it.
So our homework was, please go drive Mardella Drive, and then drive Birchwood. And imagine that you're an engineer and you've been asked to do this with town this, and you're on Complete Streets. So obviously, we're just citizens that make recommendations, but we have a mandate to do that, so we'll make them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Winnie Road, and we do have, certainly for the sidewalks, we've got good support from citizens that live on Birchwood Lane, so
We do have at least one citizen that is extremely opposed, though.
that's okay.
Yes.
Are you looking at sidewalk on both sides?
No, just one side,
The school side?
the east
School
side.
side.
Okay.
No, we picked the opposite side.
Oh, we picked. Sorry, we picked the.
Our town engineer said the west side on the school side has got fire hydrants, telephone poles, much narrower. The other side has got a better space, fewer trees that you'd have to cut down, and it's a straighter shot.
I think decided we wouldn't want kids crossing Birchwood without crosswalks to get to the sidewalk neighborhood, so you'd collect them all in the neighborhood. And then you cross at this name, crosswalk.
Yeah. Just quickly, that you have all these neighborhoods over here that, they can get, and there's a way to get through. Then you get up to Birchwood Lane, you walk on the sidewalk, then you get down here where there's a push button crosswalk and a crossing guard out there that you can get over, and the sidewalk would run on this side.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. So
Sidewalk would go right down there.
Yep.
And so even if we had 2 speed humps right there and maybe Colony did one of them, whatever, but it's worth looking at. And also I have another thing that I can send that Albany has done some work on speed humps and their chief supervision. And got this clip I got to look at, but I think there's more support out there for speed humps. So part of it is just getting our own board to maybe take a chance on that. And that's what a demonstration project is, I think, you know?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, so for the Winnie Road easement, Trish and I were working on the letter today. We have a map and a draft letter ready. We're asking for them to convert the utility easement to a public access easement. And we were not able to locate the utility easement today, so I was hoping to have it done by this meeting, but I need to locate the utility easement. So hopefully we'll have that sent out by the next meeting.
Does the utility company have to approve it too?
Well, the utility easement is with the town of Niskuna.
Okay.
So I was able to find a resolution accepting the utility easement, but it's not filed.
Okay.
So I have a call into engineering department to see if they have a copy of it.
Yeah.
If they have a copy of it, the advantage of using an existing utility easement is we don't need a new legal description. Like, we don't need any, kind of additional thing. We can just use that document and then have them sign it. It could be public access.
That's great.
But I just need to find it.
so a
Even the
big
town
question
clerk
is,
say.
how do all these folks in Avon Crest North and over here get down to the Mohawk Hudson bike path that runs down here? So the town spent $500,000 to get a bike path that goes from Flower Hill down to the Mohawk Hudson bike path. You go down to Rosendale Road, come down here, you hit this, and then you pick up the bike path right here. And so Winnie Road, if we just do this little, there's a pump station right here at Adams, just that little piece right there. Winnie Road people get access, but even the people who are over here do a little bit on Troy Road here, even if they walk this way, or even just a little chip on the sidewalk
Yeah,
here,
there's some.
then down to Winnie Road, Brookhaven Drive, or to Flower Hill, then you're down, and you're on and the same with people over here. Once you cross over to Merlin, I mean, you can get down there that way, but you've got a whole neighborhood here using Winnie Road can get access to the Mohawk Hudson bike path. And it's hard to do it off of Mohawk because there's no way to get there. It's just a road with a deep ditch over there. So this is, it's a good thing. And it's just, getting an access where it's maybe 40 yards or something like that, not much, to do that. But I mean, obviously the people that live there want the town to get an easement, make it part of the town's bike path system. So if somebody takes a spill or whatever, it's on the town's insurance, not on theirs. But if we do it, it opens a door. It's like a link that opens the door to lots of people, and that's why we're interested in doing it. We've been working on it. And Audrey Cox is one of the she's probably the informal mayor of,
He's a lovely human.
and she's a lovely person. So anyway, now, so the town attorney is working on the easement, or there might be a utility easement that we don't have to get permission from a person to get that easement, or?
So there's an existing utility easement in the exact same place that we would like to build a pathway. The existing utility easement is for a water line. It does not allow public access because easements are specific to use. So this is a utility easement. What we would like to do is use the utility easement and get the owners to add and allow public access to it. So we don't have to do new surveys. We don't have to do anything like that. We can just use the existing utility easement and convert it into a utility and pedestrian, or
The people that own it, they're asking them.
Alrighty.
Oh, you're ready, then, okay.
Drafted it and I made a map, but I want to attach the existing utility easement so they can see exactly what we're asking for.
Okay.
And I'm not able to find it in the files yet. I don't think you'll have it. It's from 2008.
So there's a water pipe.
Existing water line, yeah.
You would put asphalt over that or without dirt and gravel?
You'd be able to do asphalt because there's some topography there, but right now, if a human walks from the end of Winnie up the water line, Adams Drive, they're trespassing.
Okay.
They're not allowed to walk. I think some do, and I think that the owners are a little frustrated because this kind of happens to a lot of landowners that have large open spaces. People encroach on their private property over time. So I think they're a little bit frustrated with like the lack of respect to private property on many of their boundaries. And so there isn't like an initial, oh, that's fine, just make it into a public access easement. It's gonna take some real work. It's gonna take some real data, and I think it'd be important to show them that there's not anything more that's being asked than the utility easement, which has already been granted. And if the easiest thing to do on that is to just put up a fence with some signs and some landscaping, so that people aren't wandering from the connection from Mini Drive to Adams into the private property. I think that that may be a real way to address the concerns that they have. So that's what we're working. But they need to find the easement.
When Laura moved up to be full-time town planner, a little adage of the Japanese bit of wisdom, which is vision with no action is just a thing. Action with no vision. Right? But Laura provides us both about and a path to get there. So both vision and action are trying to be action. And you can even hear talk about speed ups. It's like, Bill, you're ready to do the action without the vision. You're ready to cause us a nightmare. Let's slow down and take this a piece at a time, which, you know, is just an example of her saying, I know you want this thing on Winnie Road, but here's another way. So I acknowledge resourceful she is in helping us get places.
I think Bill says it.
Okay, the next thing are priority letters, and these are some that we drafted. In other words, in the committee, we have lots of things that we want to ask people to do. That if we say to the state, "Oh, hey, we've got 10 things we want the state to do," and we've got 5 or 10 that we want the county to do, and the same with the school district. And earlier boards have said, no, if you give them a big list, it gets easy to say, "Hey, Bill, thanks for this stuff. We're going to get right to it." But what I recommended is let's pick 3 things that we want to ask from the school, 3 things we want to ask from the county, 3 things that we want to ask from the town, and 3 things we want to ask from the state. And let's ask for them, and let's ask for a meeting. Not only here's our request, and it's worked out pretty well with the school. Some things that we've asked the school to do, they've actually, with their folks doing earth moving on the campuses, they've done some of those things. So that's good. And we've had a meeting with Roy Fluman, who's the county manager, and that's been what I think is productive too, that they've agreed to fix the sidewalk on that between Baker and Lexington Parkway. And we've been asking about a crosswalk on Regent and Knott Street, and at our meeting, they agreed to see if they could do that in next year's work. And, you know, there are folks interested in asking about speed safety zone on Rosendale Road in front of by News. So they're thinking about that. And, you know, they have heard us with the bike lanes on Grand Boulevard. It doesn't appear that they're going to do it, but they did listen to us at least, and we're going back and forth talking about it. And so that's good. And I think Rory and our county legislators are supportive, and there will be times when they don't see things our way and we get a no, but there may be other times like the side path on Van Antwerp Road, maybe Rosendale, where we can work with them. So we have drafted letters, and I think we still have to do a little
Yeah, did
syntax
you
work.
want to send your comments to me and then
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
bring back the draft of that.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, we have addressed them to Niskuna School, so we're safe bike and pedestrian access to schools, we've asked for that, and then Craig School, crosswalk. Obviously, the state, the linkage study, maybe a school zone and a crosswalk for Craig, and then a crosswalk at Hickory Road. State town board, safety measures on Route 7, asphalt trails going from Hempstead to Rosendale, meaning cut through River Road Park to
Yeah.
get over. And then a sidewalk on Cornelius and a sidewalk on Birchwood Lane, but that's that. And, walk on Knott and Regent, so they're gonna do that. They haven't. So we,
Go downstairs. Or is there a bathroom on this?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, if you
straight
just,
down the hall.
yeah, straight down the hall, around the circle into the police station right on the left.
Okay, so we're gonna update those and hopefully our new supervisor will be willing to sign the letters. I mean,
Yeah, we can show them that,
Yeah.
we can show her that we've done them before.
yeah, okay.
So it looks like you have good notes. There's also notes from the
All right,
last meeting.
I'll do that.
And then we can send, and then we can bring back the draft.
Just take these, or could I look at them one more time?
If you want to. Okay, we'll do that at the end of the meeting.
Okay, okay, yeah, I do want to talk about Crimson Oak. Yes, let's do that. Could I skip? I'm looking at all this kind of things, it's like September 3rd. Good. Okay, yes, Crimson Oak. So I did forward the letter. We were here at a meeting, oh boy. February, maybe, when the driver hit the post on that.
Yeah, we were at the complete street meeting when we lost the power from that car accident.
So the lights flicker and then boom, gone. And we were wondering, and then we hear the ambulances roaring, and there was a gentleman who went off the road. He had 3 grade school children in the back seat of his car. He was inebriated, drove off the road, hit some mailboxes and hit a power line pole crashed down. But anyway, it promoted the people on Crimson Oak Court and others on Van Antwerp to say, you know, we need a side path to be able to get up and down the road from really the GE Circle, and they have communicated that to us. And they've asked for a meeting with our county legislators and with us. And I know sometimes the county legislator, oh, the speed limit and all those things, that's the town, talk to the town. But the town people are like, oh no, this is a county road, you've got to get the county involved. So we're doing both. But anyway, we've had a meeting that Laura and I and other folks attended where the police chief presented some information on accident data and other stuff. And,
Which is actually extremely low for that corridor.
Yeah.
It was an outlying accident.
and very low for the river, the traffic circle in front of GE. I mean, the police chief pointed out there are many more accidents now in the Rexford turnaround coming off the Rexford Bridge than there are up here. But the people here have made the point clearly that, well, you have a hard time walking down Van Antwerp Road to get to Knott Street East here because there's no sidewalk. And certainly if you want to go the other way, it's dangerous to try to cross with a traffic circle up there. And, you know, we have gotten one now at St. Joseph's Drive, but as you look at this, it's kind of like, well, how would you get across to the Mohawk Hudson bike path? How would you get across River Road there? But I guess that's not something we're looking at now, but we are looking at, well, how could we get from Crimson Oak Court? Has everybody got this in front of them? Crimson Oak Court down to Knott Street East. You go.
I go, yes.
So, what Laura has pointed out is the first yellow piece right here are backyards, and we have an easement on that. Is that right?
No, but
Yeah, in other words, there's a row of trees, and so it's kind of the backyard of these condos or these houses over there, but it's up the hill, there's a row of trees, then there's a space between the trees and the road. So we'd be asking for a multi-use path that would be there. And then,
You're not interrupting anyone's driveways, you're not interrupting anyone's front yard. Like, they wouldn't even necessarily know that you were putting a sidewalk in the right of way there.
and the Crimson Oak Court people, they obviously are supportive of this because there's no side path that goes in front of their houses. They're on a cul-de-sac. But there are 4 houses, or 5, I guess now. What did you say? Why is
Yeah.
that one in yellow there? It's,
That one we haven't.
We have an easement, okay.
So you have this guy who's in between the backyard houses and the easement, and then you have 4 houses before Crimson Court. So there's 5 houses where the multi-use path would be in somebody's front yard. Does probably need some outreach. I was just seeing, so Roberta collected a bunch of signatures from pretty much everyone who lives on Crimson Court. And I was wondering if she got any signatures of
Those
these
5 people.
actual
Yeah.
people. But I didn't put addresses on there. There are some.
Well, it's easy to see the ones that you walk and talk to, and I don't know.
But-
Would we wear our Complete Streets hats, folks, to go talk to them, or would we hand it over to Crimson Oak folks to go and?
But Bill, like, first we should cross-reference it, like Laura's saying, like, some of these people are all for it already. Like, she did a good job. She got all these
Yeah.
signatures, so.
Yeah, there may be 3 or 4.
I think she did get the signature from the one on the corner of Crimson Oak towards the,
These, okay, let me see.
but yeah, it would be interesting to see if she got the signatures from the other houses already, if they're missing.
Well, we'd have to look at who on Van Antwerp Road she got a signature.
There are.
There are a number of Van Antwerp Road signatures, but
There, yeah,
Okay.
the first ones were all Crimson Oak, but then the lower ones are all Van Antwerp.
yeah, so I can look at those addresses and see which ones we're missing.
Well, how about just the answer to, if we have 2 yeses and there's still 3 houses or 4 houses that are no, so the 6 houses, suppose we've got 2 yeses already and 4 nos. I mean, is it, Carla's a wonderful politician. She'll go out and talk to those homeowners and they say, "God, we see it."
Yeah, so
Or-
when we talk to the county, it definitely helps to have everyone on board. So they don't like to do the legwork, they don't like to knock on the doors, they don't like to get complaints at their meetings. So one of the things that the Complete Streets Committee can do is get those signatures and get all those people on board so that we can basically hand them a project that says, we don't expect opposition. All these people are saying, please do it. You don't have anyone saying no. It's rare.
Who would pay for
Don't get
this?
that.
Would the county do this, or how would we set up money to make this happen?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, the county would pay for it. Right now, the town doesn't have any budget and it's hard for the town to leverage spending town dollars on a county road. The only time the town ever does it is when it's federal dollars on a county road. So really you'd be looking at either the county funds it or the town gets a grant for federal dollars on the county road. But I do think, kind of regardless of how it's funded, having a package of support from the people who are directly, affected.
The county, if there's one no, that could topple the castle for those folks, but
It
really,
probably, I mean, these yellow ones, like I'm telling you, they wouldn't even notice. But it wouldn't hurt to have,
oh yeah, to get them all, yeah,
signatures on from those ones, so.
This one 2251 Van Antwerp side is the house on the corner of Princeton and Van Antwerp. So that's
The research circle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we wouldn't actually be proposing. Not.
well, it's good to have it, even if it doesn't go along there.
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
actually, no, those people might want to walk.
Oh,
to Mount Street
100%. No, this
East,
one,
so,
but their property isn't being directly affected. These
but
spots
we
are
could
the
still
ones you
count,
really
maybe
want.
a yes, so we'd probably run it from here down, so it would pick up their property.
We could, if they were, yes.
Okay, what I've also found doing door-to-door work is I get an ID, which, the gentleman, Josh, yeah,
If you guys want to send me headshots of yourselves.
can he take a picture or not, or does he have a camera?
But no, they don't.
They don't, okay, so. Yeah. But this is a good, right there, he's already got the template. Josh, and what's Josh's last name, or maybe I should send it in
What is
here. Anyway, I've done this, done a little piece when I did, Birchwood Lane. And I just had my, my picture and, if I had it. Which, yeah. Oh, okay, it's 4:39, so we're getting ready to.
GE to chip in for, if we made things more walkable to get to GE?
It's a good idea. We've never asked.
Because they might have some money for an initiative like that they want to be more environmentally
Yeah.
conscious. And this is right, in such a close vicinity to them.
Yeah. If we can get everyone on board, then I think we can get donations and stuff from like GE. They won't donate to a project that has somebody out there with a ticket saying, I don't want this. But if you really kind of get everybody on their side, I think you often can maybe get
Yeah.
corporate donors like that.
And some of these residents might not have signed. I see she was smart. She did it through like an electronic signature. But at my work, I have to get people to do that. And some people just don't know, they're not comfortable doing an electronic signature, so they might like it. They just didn't want to do it on their computer and do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But anyway, when I did Birchwood and also Cornelius, I set up a spreadsheet where I did every house. And I went and visited the homeowners and their concerns and, whatever we did, which was helpful in terms of presenting grant.
I'll support after you did that.
and supportive, and so it would be the same here, it just would require, but I'm just saying, if you've already kind of presented the argument, if nobody's home, you've outlined the thing, you got your ID, and even just a little description, which, is easy enough to put in, that's a description.
People that do.
Well, you probably want to get the people that are on Mohawk Trail or whatever it is, that are almost automatic yeses. So you'd say, oh, this is 15 homes and we've got 15 yeses and there's one no. So you wouldn't base it on 6.
Or base it on, she already did, like everyone else, like, did you look at that though? Like, she got most of the people to sign already.
Those are
Yeah,
in the note court,
But
but it's easy for them to sign because it doesn't go in front of their houses. It's going to be on. They're good, and we want to, but some of them may be on the other side of the road too, so we're talking doing the west side. And so, you really kind of have to focus on the 6 houses and see if they're yeses, but we can certainly do. Well, anyway,
Is there an extra one of those sheets?
What's your signature sheet?
No.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. No, you can keep yours. Okay, thanks.
yes.
Yeah, I think most of the signatures she's got on the opposite side of the road, because
Oh, okay.
the evens are, I think, the east side. So all of the even numbered addresses on Vanderbilt Road are on the opposite side.
Okay.
But there are 2 odd numbered ones.
Oh, that's good. And, the county, here's some of these. Anybody need one? Well, anyway, I'm just saying, as we've done these before, it's, when you go to the town board to get them to do something, you've got a picture so they see it, you got a list of the houses, you've got the comments, and so if there's somebody that's a definite no, and then they've dug in, at least they know what it is, and so you can look, so it's part of our.
Well, should we
part of-
finish talking about it at next meeting?
Mhm.
Like for how much it would infringe on their property and stuff like that.
Yeah, like a concept drawing on that one would be really good too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so actually they have both addresses on the corner of Crimson Oak. But so they have one of the 5 houses has signed.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go talk to them. I'm more than happy to take a walk. Anybody that wants to.
So, and actually I drive that every day and visualize the bike path there pretty much every time I'm driving it. And the 2 homes that have signed are the 2 homes that I think have the most impact to their yard.
Good,
great.
Yeah.
So we're
Other ones
more than
have
halfway home.
kind of an open yard. The 2 that have signed, one of them has a small, like shale kind of decorative wall where the bike path could go. But that's one of the ones that has signed.
Good job manifesting.
Yes, I definitely visualize it every time I go down there.
But I think it's important to talk on is it Comanche Trail or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah, we need to, because you don't want to leave anybody out. It's when it's, oh, you're gonna put it in my backyard and you didn't even come and ask me
Your backyard, but it's behind them.
behind them. So we want to, and actually, if they don't care, good, they're yeses. So when we go to the county or the town, if we had unanimous, if we've got 16 homes and everybody's a yes, then that's good. Okay, well, I've done 5 minutes past and, welcome our new members and hopefully we're going to enjoy.
Yeah,
being
nice
on
to meet
Complete
you.
Streets and, we'll get together again on October. Then we don't have a meeting in November. We have another meeting in December. And then, so a couple more. Let Laura Robertson know if you're interested in serving in 2026, if you do, because our terms of office only go 1 year through December 31, so your mission expires December 31.
Are you motioning to adjourn?
Yes, I move we adjourn the meeting of September 3rd.
Thanks. Ed.
Looking for a second? Ms. Duggan, will you second? Oh, good, tested, okay. All in favor of adjourning? Aye, okay, very good.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thanks, Catherine.
I like the map. That's nice. That you bring it out, this big one. It's nice to see it.
Well, that might be,